Up next, we share with you the thoughts of a pundit on the planned space mission that is poised to take place at around 1 in the morning on Thursday, as our corner just said. For this, I have Professor Paul Yun at El Camino College, who is also a NASA, that is, Solar System Ambassador, joining me virtually from the US. Professor Yun, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for the invitation. Good to see you again.
Indeed, Professor. Professor Yun, what does the success of this fourth launch of South Korea's Nuri space rocket depend on?
It means now Korea is kind of showing the world that it's a more reliable spacefaring nations. I think they are developing more reliable engines, more fuel system, better system, and the better operations, stable operation capabilities. So I think the world start to perceive Korea as more kind of reliable spacefaring nations.
Professor Yun, this particular launch follows the third one that took place back in May 2023, I believe, and it looks to be the first mission under the private company Hanwha Aerospace. All this being said, what would you say are some of the remarkable advances in the Nuri mission over the past 2.5 years?
I think the most noticeable is the weight. It's been, I think the payload become twice compared to 2.5 years ago. It's simply not just twice. It means dramatic improvement of the engines and fueling systems and the operating system and design overall. So it implies significant improvements. And I think that's what the more heavy lifting means. So I say it's a very significant improvement in last 2.5 years in launching capabilities.
Professor Yun, my colleague Konu earlier mentioned that this particular launch of the Nuri space rocket will take place in the nighttime. I wonder, are nighttime launches more challenging than those undertaken during the day?
I think rocket-wise, maybe not, but I think a human factor, it does. It's simply factor is, I know that Nuri is launching the very late night. I think the key factor will be people get very tired. So that could be a factor because, it requires a lot of attention and then you got to check so many parts. But also nighttime, one thing we're missing is visibilities. So actually the crew member could see, all the preparations going well using their eyes, but it's not available. Now they have to rely on the instrument and then extra light. Furthermore, checking because inspection, monitoring, and then particularly emergency preparation, it could be more challenging when you cannot see. So I think challenging factor is not the rocket itself, but rather human factor.
Right, I see. Professor Yun, what aspects of this particular launch are of interest to you?
I think it is very surprised that Korea has been done this one last 20 years very dramatically. It was like a testing, rocket testing countries. Now it become country that can operate space launch system by themselves. That's very, very noticeable to me.
Professor Yun, what would be the broader implications of a successful launch this time around for South Korea's space explorations going forward?
I think being able to have your own launching system it's giving more domestically manufactured satellite can be launched into space. Also, it means now Korea is capable to carry a more science mission by itself. And also, it could also open the door for a lot of private sector get into space, such as medicine or any kind of technologies. And also, Korea become more attractive international partner in space collaborations.
Professor Yun, this past summer, South Korea unveiled an ambitious plan to set up a lunar base by the year 2045. What are your thoughts regarding this particular goal?
I think Korea also signed an Artemis Accord. International effort, there's Artemis Accord. I think a lot of countries, particularly space-leading countries, are heading to the moon and eventually to Mars. And Korea has now become a very active member that can involve, such as technologies, and even launching too. This means Korea has own capability to go to the moon too. So Korea is now becoming one of the also active participating international community members heading to moon and then Mars. I think that's quite significant.
Staying with that, Professor Yoon, beyond South Korea's ambitions for the next frontier, if you will, and speaking within your capacity as a NASA Solar System Ambassador, what more can you tell us about some of the space missions planned for next year?
Next coming years, particularly interesting is NASA going to send the human back to the moon next year. And the coming couple of years, the NASA astronaut and with the international partner, they'll land on the moon, and the coming years will build a permanent base in south pole of the moon. And I saw a lot of activity will happen in the moon, and then eventually whatever NASA develop and learn from the moon, NASA is heading to a human mission to the Mars. So I hope that Korea will have a lot of opportunity to cooperate with NASA, particularly according to Adam's Accord. NASA is welcoming a lot of good international collaboration. I believe that Korea will be very active international partner for NASA. So I hope that I see coming years, Korea become active in the human mission to Mars and the moon and beyond.
Right, of course, keeping our fingers crossed for that. One final question, Professor Yoon, before we let you go. Quite a number of pundits have spoken about the importance of coming up with reusable rockets. Keeping this in mind, what are the prospects of South Korea achieving those rockets?
I think based on my personal point of view, last 20 years, it's kind of hard. I think the international community gets surprised that Korea came this far just within 20 years. So with this pace, using a reusable rocket system, I think I don't know how long it's going to take, but 10, 20, 30 years, but I think it's quite plausible. Based on my observations, Korea's space technology advancements. That's my personal point of view.
Right, good to know. All right, Professor Yoon over in the US, thank you so much for joining us with your insights at this early hour.
Thank you so much.